Welcome to the Network Build Grow podcast, the show where business owners, entrepreneurs, and professionals share their stories, lessons learned, and powerful strategies for building relationships and growing their circle of influence. With Melissa Taylor, your host, each week we'll bring you actionable insights to help you build a better network and a better business. Let's dive in.
Morning. I am excited to have Anthony DeNino here with me today. How are you?
I am outstanding. Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
I was trying to remember when we met and how we met. It's been years.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I believe it was actually Teresa Gittimer
Could have
who
been.
had forwarded me your information or had introduced us at one point, and we had a conversation. Then I think we lost touch, and now we're back together.
Yeah, so that's great. So again, power of networking because she is in both of our circles. That's wonderful. So before we get started, though, tell us a little bit about creating our reality and why you do what you do and what it is that you really accomplish, the impact you make.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, why I do what I do. To me, it's all about impacting people in a positive way. I'm one of those people who's just crazy enough to think, you know what? I'm going to have a positive effect on billions of people on this planet, and who knows, maybe even elsewhere. So,
Great.
Yeah, I do what I do. My services with CORE revolve around me being a keynote speaker. I'm a mental performance consultant, so I help companies and organizations all get on the right mindset and track to achieve greater success. I also do a lot of employee training, leadership training. But for me, it all begins with mindset. Mindset is the foundation for all we accomplish and for all that we don't.
Mm-hmm.
So it really helps, whether it's a one-on-one setting or in a group setting, it really help individuals and companies get on board with understanding that the way they think affects their outcomes.
Yeah. Would you work mostly with corporations? Is that who you normally go into, small to medium sized, or?
Yeah, thankfully it's mixed. Small and medium-sized businesses, definitely, but I also have good relationships with a number of nonprofits, both local and national, and I've worked with a number of associations as well. So I really enjoy those groups, and it's so cool to me, Melissa, and you understand this, just getting to go into all these different organizations, regardless of if they're a Fortune 10 company or, a mom and pop shop. It's so interesting for me and to me to understand just their perspectives and where they come from and how I could just kind of utilize my, abilities to help them take those next steps. So it's just so much fun. Love it.
That is great. How did you get into this?
Well, it's a business. My own business is something that's about 30 years in the making. Ever since I left college, I always had that little bit of a bug. I looked at some things over the years, was actually somewhat close to opening my own family fun center, an indoor family fun center. But kept working, different jobs and having some good success with them and all. But I owe the last and the final straw. I owe a great debt to the last company I worked with, and let's just say it was a well-known bank.
Okay.
And I was in a sales position, and they came to us as a branch and said, "Hey, great news! You know what? We're going to stop putting, profit, pushing that, and really dive into the customer and try to help the customer out." And I'm like, oh my God, this is wonderful. This is something that I've always thought the way we should be. But now that the bank is doing it, company wide, this is wonderful. So fast forward 6 weeks later, and the same person who introduced the program to us was back in our branch. And I just had a customer walk out in my office. And this woman, God bless her, she had, I don't know, something like 19 cents in her checking account, no savings. It was just in a really difficult way. And, so she walks out and the manager walks in and she says, "So how'd it go?" I'm like, you know what? I said, yeah, super nice lady. Unfortunately, she's a really, really bad financial situation. It just wasn't right to try to push anything on her at all. She goes, oh, okay, great. But what did you sell today? I'm like, oh my God,
Wow.
are you kidding me?
Wow.
So shortly thereafter, it was time, and
Yeah.
left that company, and here we are, almost 12 years later. I own my own company and get to do things more in the way that I think are proper and helpful to individuals, as
Yeah.
well as obviously companies.
Yeah. I think mindset is a huge thing. And there's been a lot of buzz about mindset for the last decade.
Yeah.
How do you approach that whole mindset world a little bit more uniquely than some of your counterparts, your peers?
Yeah, well, to me, it's always about getting to know um, an individual or a group in their setting first.
Hmm.
So I can, like a lot of people, we could go in and we could say, "Hey, be positive, and these are the great things that's going to happen, and you're going to see and notice a change." However, for me, if you don't have that foundation of who it is that you're dealing with first, you're not able to be as effective. So
Hmm.
so if I understand you in your role and what your desires are and what your fears are and worries, I'm able to better craft, the proper mindset for you to grow and go forward.
Hmm.
So to me, that's kind of a difference from what I've understand talking with other, people offer similar services.
Yeah, that's great. So let's jump a little bit into how you've built your business. I know that you've built it through networking has been a really one of the primary ways. Talk to me about why you chose that marketing route.
Yeah, well, to me, I'm about numbers in that way. So the more people you get out to and talk about your business and who you are and help them to get a better understanding, the better off you're ultimately going to be. So yeah, networking for me is just it's been a successful route when I've worked with different companies over the years.
Hmm.
And as I went out on my own, it's all about spreading the word. And yeah, you
Hmm.
could do that on social media, but at the time, I didn't have much of a following at all,
Hmm.
and obviously it wasn't as big, even 12 years ago as it is today in terms of its capabilities.
Yeah.
So networking to me was the ideal place to start and kind of grow from there.
Yeah. How did you choose when you first got started? How do you choose kind of which groups to go to, whether it was a networking event or a chamber event or a social event? Like how did you determine what to get involved with?
Yeah, honestly, to me, it was trial and error at first. We, you go into starting your own business, and yeah, the world's at your feet, and you have all these grand plans and thoughts. But until you actually start doing things, you realize that okay, maybe this isn't the best approach. So let me try this instead.
Mhm.
And I kind of took that approach with networking and networking groups. Now it's for me, there are so many great ones. Obviously, network, build, grow, number one. But but for me, it's about making sure the people that I'm going to interact with and get to know and spend time with and try to understand. There's also the business aspect that comes into play with that.
Mhm.
It's like, hey, I
Mhm.
love making friends. I love meeting new people, but I'm here, during the day or after hours, to not just get to know you, but also to understand if there's a good fit. And is
Yeah.
there a possibility that I can help you out in some way? Maybe you could help me out. To me, it's, yeah, and this is a little bit of a sidetrack, but to me, it's not always about, though, hey, I'm going to be nice to you, so you should give me something back. No,
Right.
I'm gonna be nice and respectful and honest with you because it's the right thing to do.
Mhm.
I don't go into situations like that with expectations like, okay, what are you going to
Mhm.
give me? No,
Mhm.
it's all about here's what I do, here's how I could help you, here's what I'd like to give to you, and we kind of just go and grow the relationship from there.
Yeah, it's just about expanding your circle, expanding the people that know who you are and the awareness of what you do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a different mindset than transactional.
Right. Yeah.
networking. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I used to be more along the transactional line when I was younger. It was all about,
Mhm.
okay, I got to go out and I gotta sell somebody something tonight, even though I just met them, 3 seconds ago. They have to buy
Yeah.
something from me.
Yeah. Yeah. That just feels icky to everybody.
It does.
So, yeah, I know that you also use speaking as one of your primary ways. I mean, speaking
Yes.
is a revenue generator for you, but you also use speaking to generate leads. So tell
Sure.
me a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, and just tying this back to the whole networking thing, my job as a speaker, at least the way I look at it, is obviously to create a dynamic presentation, one that helps people. Whether we're talking about communication or leadership or mindset, sales, whatever the topic is. Obviously, I want to help those people. But what I always tell conference organizers and meeting planners is, well, you know what? I'd kind of like to be there before I go on as well, and stay even afterwards, because I want to get to know people. I want to be able to network and understand them as well.
Mhm.
Being up on a stage, this is great, and it's this awesome feeling. You get all excited about it, and you see the looks on people's faces, and hopefully they're positive looks, and
Yeah.
they're impacted. But beyond that, it's like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
Right? And so to me, being at these events, it's more of an opportunity to network and to get to know people, and
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
that's kind of the way that I approach speaking aspect of my business. Really enjoy
Yeah.
the speaking, love it, and passionate about it. But it's also the work and the conversation you have both before and afterwards that, to me, makes it that much stronger.
Yeah, we work with a lot of speakers, and we always tell them that when you're speaking on stage is the primary time you're going to get another stage to speak on.
Sure, sure.
If you network after the event and get to know the people that heard you there. So it's
Yeah,
great.
absolutely.
Mhm. If you network for your business, you already know follow up is everything when it comes to growing relationships and driving success. But here's the thing, most of us want to follow up well, we just get stuck. Staying consistent, keeping it personal, making it stand out, it's hard. That's why I use NetEffect.io. It makes follow-up simple, cuts through all the noise, and helps me stay on top of every relationship without dropping the ball. I never miss a follow-up, and honestly, my network wouldn't be the same without it. So check it out, neteffect.io. And right now, you can use promo code NBG50 for 50% off of your first month. neteffect.io, your secret weapon to unforgettable follow-up. Networking, a lot of people think of networking as an event or a group. How do you kind of think about networking? I think about it as a lifestyle, like,
Hmm.
just kind of a mindset, if you will. How do you think about networking?
Yeah. Depending on the day. It's some days I might say, oh, okay, I have to go to this event. It's a quote unquote necessary evil, right?
Mhm.
But really, when you stop and just kind of step back for a moment, you realize every interaction is an opportunity.
Mhm.
And every situation, even if it doesn't seem like it's going to be a good fit for you, I'd encourage people just to do it anyway. I'll give you a quick example, if I may.
Mhm. Yeah.
And in all sincerity, it happened last night. I was
Oh,
invited
wow.
to this event, and I knew one of the at least one of the people that were going to be there, and I was excited to see her and all. But I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to go down this again, and all right, let me just go and find out and just see what's new, and be nice and just see what happens. And by the end of the night, I was talking with this one woman I know and a couple of her peers about not only doing some individual coaching, but also looking at opportunities to help their company as a whole.
Mhm.
So yeah, again, it's in the beginning stages, so I don't
Yeah.
want to say like I showed up and people threw business at me, because it didn't
Right.
happen that way. Right, and it
But
won't
you
happen
showed
that
up.
way.
But
Yeah,
you showed up.
exactly. Those are the
Yeah.
keywords. I showed
Mhm.
up and I was present. I think
Yes.
that's very important too. People read that. If you're just like there just to be there, just to say you went there, people
Mhm.
aren't going to want to engage with you. And
Yeah.
if you're there, be present and in that moment.
It always cracks me up when I go to networking events or a chamber event, a coffee in the morning or a
Yeah.
happy hour at night or whatever it is. And there's somebody sitting there on their phone,
Yeah.
like, staring at their phone.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you here?
Yeah.
You
Well, it's
know,
it's it's like at conferences, it drives me crazy
they
as
sit at
somebody
the
who,
tables. Like,
yes,
get
get
up.
off. Exactly. What do you sit behind? They're typing on the computer as people are walking
Mhm.
by. And I'm like, the sales manager, former sales manager and coach now comes out and
Yeah.
he says, come on, get up, interact, talk to these people.
Yeah. Say hello,
Yeah.
smile,
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Pet
networking is
peeves, right?
definitely anywhere. Yeah. So, I was actually at a thing last night. It was a philanthropy kind of a thing,
Oh, nice.
volunteer,
Yeah.
nonprofit kind of thing. And a lot of people forget that that is also networking.
Sure.
It's not asking everybody, what do you do, and explaining what you do for your business. But those
Right.
conversations do come around too. What do you do?
Yeah.
And they are relationships that you're forming. And I know that you're involved with some nonprofits.
Yeah.
So have you found that to be a fruitful way to kind of do something that you love, give back to something that you love, but still expand your circle?
Yeah, absolutely. To me, and I know you're of a similar mindset. It's all about relationships,
Hmm.
right? And if you impress upon, an individual, your values and who you are and how you could help, and not just from a professional point of view, but just as an individual.
Yeah.
When you impress those things and you are sincere, and people understand that, it's such a great way to just it's a tool to help you expand. And what I mean
Yeah.
by that is, if you and I are meeting and we're talking and you get a great impression about me, hopefully you're going to talk to other people about me. Does it
Hmm.
always happen? Of course not.
Hmm. No.
But maybe the next time we talk, it will happen.
Right.
And because you establish those relationships, it's just a great way to go about it.
Yeah, and the neat thing about like volunteering at a nonprofit or something like that is you already have some alignment with the
Yeah.
person. You kind
Yeah.
of already have some similar beliefs, similar values. So
Yeah.
there's one hurdle already crossed,
Sure.
you know. So
Absolutely.
I think nonprofit work is an amazing way to network and build your influence. So okay, let's do some rapid fire questions.
Ooh, let's go.
Yeah. All right. So the
Pressure.
first thing that comes to mind, what is your favorite way to stay top of mind with your circle of influence?
Favorite ways to be in front of everybody. Realistic favorite way is to social media, is via
Okay.
social media
Mhm.
and promoting, different thoughts and ideas. I used to be along the lines of, hey, this is what I do, and this is, why I'm great, and this is why you should hire me. And now, I've come to understand it's like, well, that stuff's important, but you want to add value in your social media posts.
Mhm.
And so if I could, whether it's an inspirational quote or just give a thought as far as how you or your company can advance, or your nonprofit can advance, that's even better to me.
Mhm.
So yeah, I do those things, of course. And I have my newsletter I send out, and networking, as well. And,
Yeah.
a key thing for me is to, now that I've been doing this for almost 12 years, I've come to realize that, hey, you know what? I kind of know a few people, and
Mhm.
so to jump back, in time a little bit and reconnect with, past contacts,
Mhm.
and just not so much, hey, hire me again or anything like that, but more like, hey, I'm here. I hope you're doing well. If there's ever anything I could do for you, here's some of the new things I'm doing, maybe, and just go from there. Just let it go.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget. We have a thing we call reach back, reach up, reach through, that kind of
Yeah,
thing. And the reach back is really important.
sure.
Like, I mean, those contacts didn't go away, especially if
Yeah,
you maybe worked with them at a different company. They are doing
yeah,
something different now. There's just too many people let those connections go.
no doubt.
Absolutely. Okay, next one. Ready?
Yep.
All right. How do you turn a casual networking conversation into a meaningful, possible prospective conversation when you find it's necessary or ready?
Yeah, well, yeah. To me, I'm more methodical in my approach.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is, while we always hope that there's, when you meet somebody, 5 minutes later, you're signing a contract to do business with them.
Sign me up for that group.
Yeah, exactly. The reality is that doesn't happen very often.
Right. Yeah.
So, so I'm more methodical in my approach in that, I like to learn about, the other person I'm speaking with or a group of people. I like to follow up and have conversations. They know why I'm there, right? It's not a big secret. This is what I do. This is the company that they are. So they're pretty smart people. The individuals we come across. But so for me, it's about building trust and confidence as far as when that time is right to take that next step. It's really kind of dependent on that individual. You have to pay attention to when you're speaking with people and look for little clues and little words that suggest interest in moving beyond. And so for me, while I do on occasion take that aggressive approach, it's really based more on what my interactions were with that person up to that point. If not, it's more of a get to know you, let them feel comfortable with me, because people like to do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And trust to me is a big thing.
It's a big thing. Yeah. Okay. Here's another one. Ready?
Yep.
What's your number one tip for starting a conversation at an actual event? With somebody you don't know.
Yeah. Smile.
Just smile.
Yeah.
Say hello.
Yeah. I'm sure we've both been approached by many people who walk up to you with a very stern and focused face, and it's like, whoa, and right away, it's like Star Trek, shields up, right? You just don't want to, you don't want any part of that person, because already just from experience, what it is that they're into and are interested in, and about 99 times out of 100, their interest is not in me or my company. So the best way for me is just give a warm and friendly smile, say hello, and just let conversation kind of start and flow from there.
Yeah. So you're a mindset guy. So do you do anything, or if people are nervous about going to a networking event, or they're kind of new at it, what's something that could help them kind of get their mind, get their body, get their soul in the right space before they enter the room?
Yeah. So this one might not be a quick answer, but I like to encourage people to think with the end in mind.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is, fast forwarding in your mind's eye, you walking out of the event. And you're walking out of that event with a big smile and a sense of accomplishment, because of the fact that you've met some really good people. You have some great follow-ups that you could do the next day. You were bright and fun, and people gravitated towards you, and just walk into the meeting knowing that you've already achieved that. And what that does for people is it relaxes them. I know it relaxes me, because even if it doesn't go 100% perfect, I already know that outcome. So I'm good. I already know what's going to happen, because I've set myself up here for that success. And to me, you talk about mindset. Obviously, I'm a big mindset guy. I go by the moniker of the smart guy. Smart, standing for success, means acquiring right thoughts. And to me, for an individual and even for an organization to be smart, really has to do with 4 steps. One, of course, is that having that proper mindset. From the moment you wake up to the moment you walk in the office, just feeling good about the great and exciting things that are going to happen in that day. But second, this one's really key, is to feel it, right? It's great to think the words, but to feel the emotion and to see, again, in your mind's eye, that sense of accomplishment, the smiles on other people's faces, the pats on the back when you do something really well, and how that makes you feel, right? But it's also about the words that you speak. So for me to say, if you introduced me and said, "Hey, Anthony, how you doing today?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." Right? That's setting myself up for a low energy kind of discussion and conversation, which is going to be of interest to nobody.
Right.
So the words that you speak, and people have a little trouble with that one because you don't want to sound cocky and saying, oh yeah, I'm gonna do a great job today, and I'm gonna be the best there is, and all this stuff, right? But it's more about just setting the tone again in what you say in conjunction with what you're thinking and what you're feeling. When you do all three of those, it is as powerful as they are. You must take action, right? Action is the key to it all. So walking in and having that mindset and feeling those feelings and speaking those positive words are great. But if you don't take action next, you're not going to be nearly as successful as if you do.
Yeah, that's great. No, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. That's way deeper than what I do when I head into an event.
All right, let's hear it.
When I head into an event, I skip.
Okay, nice.
Just to kind of just have a little fun before you actually get there.
Okay.
So
outside you skip. I thought you skipped into a networking meeting.
No, I skip in the parking lot on my way in. Just kind of give myself a little skip or two.
That's awesome.
Just to get that smile on your face and get going. Because smiles, I think you hit the nail on the head. It just fills that gap between two people, kind of bridges them together.
Sure.
Just with a smile. It was interesting. I'm going to actually write an article about this one of these days when I have time. You know how everybody kind of gives the nod, right? You kind of nod at people when you see them across the room or, outside or whatever. Interestingly enough, my son and I actually realized that people nod up if they know you and they nod down if they don't.
Huh.
Isn't that interesting?
That is very interesting.
I think it's hysterical. So I'm gonna do a little research on that, and that'll be fun. But it's just getting in that up nod kind of mood,
right?
Just kind of that lighter mood is what helps me at events. So
it's true. You can't be like really like bumming about it when you do that. It's like, hey, what's up?
Yeah, it's like, hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? Yeah, it's so funny. That's so wonderful. Well, I have really enjoyed this conversation. You gave us a lot to think about with networking. Just one last word from you. If you could kind of sum up your life in 1 or 2 words, what would it be? What does that look like? Like your legacy?
Summing up my life in 1 or 2 words: blessed. That's just the way I feel. Blessed in so many ways, and I know you said 1 or 2 words, but the thing about that is I think we're all blessed, right? And you can look on the surface and say, well, she's more blessed than I am because she has this, or he doesn't have that, so they're not as blessed. We're all blessed, and we all have strengths. We all have positive things that we could build on and build off of. It's just a matter of not just mindset, but perspective, right? The way that you look at things. And don't get me wrong, people struggle. I've struggled. I still struggle, with certain things sometimes, and that's okay. But when you shift that perspective and change that mindset, you realize that you really do have so much more than you allow yourself to see. So truly blessed.
That's wonderful. Well, you've blessed me with this conversation today, and I thank you.
Stop it. Thank you so much.
Stop it.
Thanks, Melissa.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Network Build Grow podcast. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow entrepreneur or professional. And of course, if you're not yet part of our community, visit networkbuildgrow.com to connect with us. Until next time, keep building and keep growing.